Hello again and welcome. If this is your first time with us, thank you so much for stopping by. You are listening to Choose to Endure, the podcast dedicated to non-elite runners where we share stories, interviews, gear, and training tips specific to the tail-end heroes of the ultra universe. If you haven't had a moment to do so yet, consider heading over to your favorite podcast app. Maybe hit follow, maybe rate the show. If you're getting something of value, definitely feel free to leave us a review and let others know what you think. My name's Richard Gleave. I have been running ultras now since 2017. I have taken on and finished numerous ultra distances all the way up through 220 miles. And I'll tell you, I am unashamedly a member of the back of the pack, just like many of you. Now, let's be honest, ultra running isn't exactly a normal pastime, right? It's a sport where you end up running through the night, you could be eating quesadillas at mile 70, and quite possibly hallucinating your way through multiple stretches of a race. So if you're thinking about hiring a coach, you probably want somebody who understands the weird, wild, and wonderful world of ultra running, especially those of us at the back of the pack. So today, we're going to dive into that topic. It's been buzzing around for a while, especially now as people start setting goals for the new year. This may come up, how to choose an ultra running coach. Whether you've thought about hiring one before, or you're just curious about what they can offer, in this episode, I'm going to try to help you understand what to look for, what to avoid, and whether you even actually need one in the first place. So lace up your shoes. We'll get into it right after this.
Discover raw, inspiring stories from runners who've been right where you are. This is the Choose to Endure Ultra Running Podcast. With your host,
he's English, not Australian,
Richard Gleave.
Okay, before we even talk about how to pick a coach, let's ask the initial question first. Do you actually need one? I think for 99% of runners, the answer isn't a clear yes or no. It's a maybe. I'm going to sit on the fence with it. A coach is definitely a luxury. It's not a necessity. You really don't necessarily need one. If you've got a library card and some grit, and yes, I'm showing my age there, you can grab books like Tim Noakes' Law of Running or Jason Koop's Training Essentials for Ultra Running. You can figure out a lot of this stuff yourself if you've got a bit of moxie about you. And if you're injury prone, a session or two with a physical therapist can give you more value than some coaches ever will. But here's where a coach can be game-changing. If you're chasing a big goal, maybe you're venturing into a new distance, or you just feel like you need somebody out there to help keep you accountable. For example, when I signed up for my first 100-miler, I was a bit overwhelmed, I'll be honest. I didn't quite know how to balance the mileage, strength training, and recovery. I barely actually did any strength training. A good coach could have saved me from overtraining and feeling like absolute crap for the last 30 miles and almost not finishing the race. So, if you're someone who needs structure, maybe some expert advice, or just a voice telling you, you know what, you've got this, you're going to be fine, yeah, then at that point, a coach might be worth considering. So, one of the first things to look for if you're going to go with a coach is to know your goals. What is it that you're actually trying to accomplish? Are you looking to tackle your first 50K? Are you looking to improve your finishing times? Are you looking to conquer a race such as Bigfoot 200, Cocodona 250, or some other huge race out there? Maybe you just want to stay injury-free while training for your next adventure, and you've had challenges doing that up to this point. Whatever it is, your goals are going to help you find a coach that fits your needs. So make sure you're clear on your goals before you go looking. For example, if you're a back-of-the-pack runner like me, maybe you might think twice about a coach who only works with elites. You need somebody who understands cutoffs, pacing strategies, and how to stay mentally tough when you've been out twice as long as the leading runners and you are actually one of the last runners on the course. I've had friends hire coaches who didn't really get or understand the back-of-the-pack experience. Great coaches, but they prescribe 70-mile weeks with no flexibility for work, family, or life, basically treating training as if we were all elite. And you'll know as much as I do, that's not realistic for most of us. So make sure your coach's expertise matches your goals and, if we're being honest, your reality, your life, what you're able to do. Secondly, make sure you dig in their experience. Here's where you've got to do a little bit of homework yourself. Not all coaches are created equal. Some are phenomenal. Others are great runners who just slap the word coach on their Instagram bio. So, what you should be doing, in my opinion, is looking for someone who has, number one, real coaching experience and preferably a known credential attached to them, not just personal racing success. Number two, look for someone who has knowledge in areas like strength training, nutrition, and injury prevention, which are key areas for us at the back of the pack. And number three, as we mentioned before, look for somebody with a track record of working with runners like you. It's definitely going to be more difficult for a coach who was an elite runner to really understand the intricacies and challenges that people at the back of the pack are facing. Those may be much different than they were used to when they were running. So look for somebody who's going to understand where you are as a runner. I've worked with coaches before. I once worked with a coach who just sent me a generic plan from a big name program. No personalization, no adjustment for my own busy schedule. Honestly, and I'm being very genuine here, it definitely felt like a waste of money for me. Compare that to a friend of mine who found a coach that built her plan around her chaotic life. They proactively checked in weekly, tweaked workouts, and even discussed fueling and race day strategies for her 100-mile race. And friends, that is the difference a good coach can make. Which do you think you would prefer? All right. Step 3, communication is pretty key as well. If you're paying somebody, let's say $150, $200 a month, which is a pretty decent going rate for a coach out there, you shouldn't have to be the one, in my opinion, that is always reaching out to them. You are the customer here. You are paying the money. And a good coach should take the initiative to check in with you regularly, not just send a generic email every week or two asking how's it going, right? A really great coach is going to reach out via email or even schedule calls on an ongoing basis to really talk to you about your training, discuss tweaks week to week, check how you're feeling, and what more they can do to help you reach your goal. The relationship, I think where I'm trying to go, shouldn't feel one-sided. You deserve to feel like a priority because you're a paying customer, not just another name on a spreadsheet. And of course, when you do reach out, a 24-hour turnaround is reasonable and really, in my opinion, should be non-negotiable. But the key here is that a good coach isn't waiting for you to ask for help. They're proactive, they're engaged with you, and they are genuinely interested in your progress. They make you feel important. They make you feel like the center of their universe, even though, obviously, they've probably got a whole bunch of other people they're coaching too. It's that personalization, I think, that really drives the value in a really great coach versus one that's not so good. Also, make sure the plan that they come up with fits your life. This one's pretty big too, right? So a training plan is only good if it fits into your life and you're able to actually execute on it. If you're a back-of-the-pack runner, chances are, like me, you've got a day job, family obligations, and fairly limited training time available to you. The coach you hire needs to be able to account for that and explain how they're going to accommodate it in the plan that they provide for you and hopefully walk you through so that not only do you have the week to week, but you have the full scope of the plan so that you can understand the different periodized elements of that plan, whether it's base 4 weeks and then you move to a peak for whatever it is. Your coach is going to help you through that. For example, I once worked with someone who had a really unpredictable work schedule. Her coach would send her weekly plans and check in to make adjustments if she had a last-minute work trip. That's the kind of flexibility that you're looking for. And let's talk mileage as well. If you're training for a 100-miler, but you can only commit to 4 runs a week, that's something your coach is going to need to talk to you about and find a way to make it work. So ask potential coaches about their approach to building plans for people with busy lives like you and I. If they can't adapt or you feel like they struggle to adapt, it's possible that they aren't the coach for you. And last but not least, because we've mentioned it already, let's talk money. Coaching is an investment. It's an investment by you for you, and the price should reflect the value that you believe you're getting. If you're paying $150 a month, $200 a month, you deserve a personalized plan, regular check-ins, and a coach who's fully invested in you and your goals. Anything less, and my opinion is that you might as well buy a static plan online for $50. Remember, the most expensive coach isn't always the best coach. There's loads of good coaches out there that work with folks like you and I. Look for someone who offers value, expertise, and a great connection with you, not just the big fancy price tag or the fancy name. Okay, so let's wrap this up real quick. Choosing a coach definitely is a personal decision. But here again are the 4 key takeaways. Number 1, know your goals, figure them out in advance, find a coach who is going to specialize in getting you to those particular goals. Number 2, look for real coaching experience and credentials, and someone who understands your challenges as a runner, not just the ability to run fast race times. Number 3, make sure their communication is proactive, not reactive, and that your coach prioritizes you. Actually, when you try to set up an interview or a call with a coach, this is your first indication of how that communication is going to go. That should give you a pretty clear idea. And number 4, whatever plan it is they come up with or are going to suggest to you, that needs to fit with your life, not the other way around. Don't overpay for generic services. If you are considering hiring a coach, take the time to interview them. Ask them some tough questions and make sure before you go putting money up, make sure they're the right fit for you. And if you decide a coach isn't right for you right now, that's perfectly okay too. You can accomplish a whole bunch on your own if you need to. There's plenty of resources out there that you can work with, including fantastic Facebook and internet communities. All right. So if you're out there on the internet looking for a coach, don't forget to subscribe to this show too. Hopefully you got some value from that. If you subscribe, you're going to get notified each time a new episode drops. If you're enjoying what you hear, definitely feel free to follow, share, and leave a review as well. That would mean the world to me. Your support helps grow the podcast, connects to more runners, and spreads the word for those of us who could benefit from what we're sharing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Choose to Endure, or visit us anytime at choosetoendure.com. I would love to hear from you, whether it's to say hello, suggest a topic, or share your story. You can also email me directly at info@choosetoendure.com. I have to tell you, interacting with listeners just like you is one of my very favorite parts of doing this show. I love the conversations. Please keep them coming. So until next time, get out there if you want to. Look for a coach so that you have the ability to keep running long, running strong, and keep choosing to endure.